This is episode 20 of the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast with the president of PHIT, Bryan O'Rourke.
Right now, the sick care system is really broken. And the reason is because in the U.S., basically, healthcare is focused on responding to disease, not preventing disease in the first place. And I'm sure everyone knows the statistics. As much as 3/4 or more chronic illness comes about through lifestyle choices. If it would cost only 1/1000th of 1% of the annual federal budget over 10 years, and the typical family would save 20 to 30% on annual physical activity costs.
Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. I am your host, Josh Trent, and this is your number one trusted resource for the accelerating world of fitness technology. Each week, we bring you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You'll gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse of what matters most for your fitness business in the age of exponential technologies. This podcast is brought to you by support from our outstanding sponsors, Bryan O'Rourke and his family of companies, including Videri Ventures, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and many more. If you're looking for unmatched guidance, capital, insights, or a great speaker or facilitator, Bryan and his partners are the go-to resource for your organization. To learn more, visit bryanko'rourke.com. We'd also like to thank the Fitness Industry Technology Council, your nonprofit resource for reliable technology information, supported by forward-looking brands who are seeking to drive increased technology adoption in the fitness industry. Make a difference and join at fittechcouncil.org today. On episode 20, we're learning from the Fitness Industry Technology Council President Bryan O'Rourke about one of the most pivotal legislations pending in Congress that has a direct impact on the success and longevity of your fitness business. We're talking about the PHIT Act. PHIT, this act has the potential to transform our space and help put prevention in our healthcare system. Because as you'll learn from Bryan today on the show, with as much as we're doing in the fitness and wellness worlds to reach as many people as we can, the truth is our current model is broken. Today, what we have isn't healthcare, it's sick care. So make sure to take action after listening to the show, where we'll link how you can have your voice heard by writing your member of Congress to ensure the activity expenses are covered under pretax medical accounts. Make sure Congress hears your voice. Click on the link in your show notes by tapping on the artwork screen. We'll also hear from Bryan about his recent webinar with Club Industry, the 5 simple ways to increase revenue, why he believes that consumers have quickly shifted into becoming more digitally attuned now than ever before, and how smart club owners and operators that focus on omnipresence and various technologies can reach current and future members at their deepest needs. I think you're really going to enjoy this compact yet insightful episode for the actions you can take today that impact your fitness business. So let's step in right here, right now with Bryan O'Rourke. Bryan, welcome back.
Hi, Josh.
We're so excited to talk about PHIT America today because this is an act. There's legislation that is currently in process right now. Can you tell us a little bit about why you have such an energy behind the PHIT Act and explain to our audience who might not know what the PHIT Act is?
Yeah, sure. So PHIT stands for Personal Health Investment Today Act. That's PHIT. And fundamentally what it does is it incentivizes people to spend money on exercise and self-care by making those expenses tax deductible. So things like hiring a personal trainer, having a health club membership, those type of things can be written off as an expense on people's taxes. And here's the bottom line as to why this is so important. Right now, the sick care system is really broken. And the reason is because in the U.S., in particular, for our U.S. Citizens and people following this podcast, in the U.S., basically, healthcare is focused on responding to disease, not preventing disease in the first place. And I'm sure everyone knows the statistics. As much as 3/4 or more chronic illness comes about through lifestyle choices. So when you think about exercise and what it does for humans, getting people to participate in primary prevention as a key strategy for their own health is smart, because if we spend effort doing that, we're going to avoid a lot of money on the sick care system being spent after the fact. So our systems are not sustainable right now because we're not spending enough money keeping people well and preventing disease. And that's what these kind of legislative policy initiatives do.
And this PHIT Act would allow taxpayers to place up to $2,000 a year in pre-tax medical accounts. Where are we in the progress of this actually being pushed through?
Well, so, we had, the legislation's been reintroduced. I think last year was as many as 100 different participants or supporters of the act when it was in Congress last year were a part of supporting it. Right now, because of a lot of discussions in the U.S. about reforming healthcare, et cetera, and because there's going to be a push with looking at changing tax policy, the people behind the PHIT Act, including the International Health Racquet and Sports Club Association, IRSA, really feel like we've got a shot at getting this through this year. And I would really encourage folks that are part of the industry space to go to the IRSA website. Josh, you may share it in the show notes. There's a specific tool provided by IRSA that enables you to communicate with your congressional representatives to support this act. Meredith Poplar and others, Ellen at IRSA, have been working on this for many years, and we really think that this year could be the year we actually get it through.
This is really exciting because, lowering fitness costs so that more people can have the chance to be active and have a healthier life, it's not going to take away from our space. In fact, I believe it'll increase the bandwidth. What do you think about if this act goes through? How is that going to directly impact not only the health of people that are in the industry, but possibly the bottom line with more programs going on?
Oh, absolutely. That's the idea, right? To have more people be incentive to spend money on prevention. And that would increase the number of members and customers being served through, exercise programs that help keep them well. So we're very hopeful that this act would actually grow the industry significantly. In fact, 7 in 10 voters, according to IRSA's research, want their members in Congress to support PHIT. PHIT would cost only 1/1000th of 1% of the annual federal budget over 10 years. Wow. And the typical family would save 20 to 30% on annual physical activity costs. So you're right. I mean, that's an example of public policy helping the rising tide phenomenon we talk about, which is getting more people to benefit from what our industry does.
And Ted Vicky and Graham Maelstrom both have talked about how wearables are going to be used in the future in mass scale for low-income communities to allow people to be more active. Do you think that with Fit America and the combination of wearables, that's going to produce a tangible result?
Well, I sure think it can. I think every delivery system in fitness, whether it's a gym, a health club, a pure digital coach, a combination of omnipresence delivery, whatever delivery system it is, I think all of these services and solutions will benefit from this kind of public policy move and get people more incented to take care of themselves through exercise.
I want to shift gears as we wrap up this segment because you recently did a club industry webinar, 5 simple ways to use technology to increase revenue. Can you explain to our audience what this technology to increase revenue webinar was all about and give people the information of where they can actually watch this? Do you have to be a member of club industry to watch the webinar, or can anyone go and sign up?
The deck behind that webinar is now uploaded on my SlideShare account. So you can see it. The webinar itself was distributed by Club Industry, and yes, you can watch that. If you go to @Club Industry on Twitter, in their feed, you're going to see a link to it in the last week. But basically, to answer your question, so it is out there. But as far as revenue, and how you can drive that, what the webinar touched upon were the 4 key drivers that were impacting this kind of S-curve reinvention in the industry. Changing consumers, advancing technologies, new economics, and globalism. And we primarily focused on the first 3. But in the end, what we really, emphasized, kind of the bottom line, was an ability to move more transactions to the web for health clubs and other fitness service providers to both, number one, make it very easy for people to join or purchase services online, to manage the process for customer members in a very easy and digitally functional and simple way, to monetize extra services like personal training, et cetera, via digital, and to market, sell, and service people in a personalized way based on who they are, instead of trying to throw a net out to catch all fish, to really target communications and engagement around types of people, not treating everyone the same, to try to make their experience more and more personalized. And we went through a lot of the reasons behind this that are driven through these changing customers who have become far more digitally attuned, and that's only going to increase by leveraging these technologies, which have gotten less and less expensive via the cloud and other tools to do these things for member customers, and demonstrating the economic benefits. So ultimately, by being more personalized, by offering people an easier way to transact business using these digital tools, we can both lower cost and at the same time increase lifetime value of member and customer through more tailored experiences. So that's what we touched upon. And I encourage people to go and take a look at the webinar.
Bryan, we find ourselves in one of the most exciting times to be alive and be in fitness, but also from the guests that we've had on the show, it's also the most challenging. And I think this duality that exists right here. With that said, Bryan, what kind of content are we looking forward to in the future from FITSE?
So, of course, addressing the things I just mentioned, which we've been doing for a few years. If you follow our Twitter feed at fittechcouncil.org, you follow our Instagram, fittechcouncil.org, you look at our website, you look at the content, the newsletter we send out every month, which you can go to FIT Council, fitnesstechnologycouncil.org to become a part of, so you see that information. The presentations we'll be giving during IRSA will all talk to trends, but increasingly how various business models and players need to think about both near-term, mid-term, and long-term time horizons. Because as I touch on in the webinar itself, there's this, and I'll touch on as well in my talks at IRSA, there's this hype cycle challenge where, and there's these initial technology triggers which the innovators might become a part of, but it's taking risks to be an early adopter because you're really not sure of how to operationalize or make those things work in a way that is sustainable. Maybe it's a fad. You don't really know. And then as the technology goes through the trough of disillusionment and then climbs that slope of enlightenment, you'll see the market rush in to adopt those things. So I think that all business models need to look at a strategic view of what can we do near term around our existing business model, and how can we apply some of this technology in a way and business model structure in a way that really can help us near term. How does that fit into a midterm strategy, a 2 to 3 year, 4 year strategy at the most? And then long term, where are we going to be? So things like omnipresence, things like how you engage as a practical matter are things we're going to be talking a lot about and continuing to share examples of for all the people that want to read what we have to share. And things like this podcast, for example. Josh, you've had a lot of people, as you point out, on the podcast that are talking about and discussing what's really happening right there, and hopefully people can take that in and use it to their benefit.
Yes, and we thank you so much for your expertise as we move forward with this rapid change we're going to see for the rest of 2017. Bryan, thanks so much for coming on.
Josh, what a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And again, we so appreciate the work you're doing on this podcast. I enjoyed listening to it. Maureen, my wife, does as well. And a lot of colleagues around the world have been telling me that they've enjoyed it. So thanks so much for doing it.
Thanks, Bryan. Right now in the United States, our sick care system is broken. And the reason is because our current paradigm is focused on responding to disease and not preventing disease in the first place. 3/4 or more of chronic illness comes about through lifestyle choices. So when we look at how exercise can positively impact human health, getting people to participate in primary prevention as a health strategy is smart. Because if we spend our efforts doing that, we can avoid spending billions of dollars on an unsustainable system. Currently, pretax medical accounts are primarily used for the reimbursement of medical expenses once you become sick. With the PHIT Act, this will allow taxpayers to place up to $2,000 a year in existing pre-tax medical accounts for reimbursement of physical activity expenses. Lower costs will promote active lifestyles and improve the health of Americans. This act will put prevention in our healthcare system, so be sure to click in the show notes right now on your phone by tapping on the artwork and support our country's health and our fitness space by contacting your member of Congress today. Bryan believes there are 4 key drivers that are impacting reinventions in our industry: changing consumers, advancing technologies, new economics, and globalism, with a bottom line of moving more transactions for the health club online to make it both easy for more people to join clubs and provide a seamless experience for marketing, selling, and servicing members in a truly personalized way based on who they are. Thank you for listening to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. Here's a quick message from Bryan O'Rourke.
Hey, Josh, thanks so much for doing this great podcast. Friends, if you're enjoying this podcast, you're really going to enjoy following at Fit Tech Council. Follow me at Bryan K. O'Rourke. And you'd really, really do us a big favor if you could go on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this and give us a 5-star. If you're enjoying it, please give us a 5-star and please share this podcast. Help spread the word about technology and the great opportunities it is creating for our industry space. Thanks so much for listening.